Three things this week. Different industries, different layers, same move. Whoever owns the pipes decides what flows through it. Your phone, the grid, and ultimately, the filter. WWDC, June 8th. Apple takes the stage. Big keynote. New Siri AI. Completely rebuilt, system-wide actions. It reads your messages, your calendar, your screen. Promises to be the smartest assistant Apple ever made. Here's the part they moved over really quickly. Siri AI runs on Google. A custom 1.2 trillion parameter version of Gemini, Google's model, on your iPhone, in your messages. We covered this months ago. Apple handed Siri to Google. Users got no choice, no toggle, no pick your AI provider. Apple picked for you. Google is the default. That's it. Then, almost as an afterthought, during the keynote, they mentioned it won't be launching in the European Union. The EU Commission confirmed why the next day. Apple asked for an 18-month exemption from the Digital Markets Act. 18 months. That's not a compliance request. That's asking permission to lock in Google as the exclusive Siri backend for a year and a half before any competing assistant gets equal access. The Commission said no. EU spokesperson Thomas Rainier spelled it out. No AI agent other than Siri AI, by the way, powered by Google, would have an equal chance to be chosen by iPhone users. He said, by the way, like it was an afterthought. But that's the whole thing. Apple picked Google. You got no say. Apple asked the EU for 18 months of exclusive Google Siri before anyone else could compete. The EU said no, and you got no say. Two big players, a company and a government, negotiating who gets to be the AI inside the phone in your pocket. When the negotiation failed, the product completely vanished. It's your device, but it's their deal. I don't think it matters what side you're on here. The mechanism is what matters. Apple decided the default. The EU decided the rules. You just live with the outcome. That's not ownership. That's a lease. Terms changed based on conversations you're not invited to. But at least there is a conversation going on about letting users select their own AI models. Gartner dropped their annual data center energy forecast yesterday. And the number that sticks out to me was 26%. 26% data center electricity consumption. 26% year over year. 26. 565 terawatt hours. That's more electricity than most countries use in a decade. And it's still accelerating. By 2027, the AI servers will pull more power than everything else combined. Cooling infrastructure alone, 243 terawatt hours by 2027. Just the cooling. That's more than every AI server on Earth consumed in 2025. Now you can frame this as an environmental story. That's what the press will do. Power plants, carbon, the planet's on fire, and that's all real, for sure. But it's not why this matters. Not for this show. This matters because when a resource becomes scarce, it gets rationed. And the question nobody's asking is, who decides? Gartner's own analyst put it plainly. AI capacity is now constrained by power availability. The translation? There's a line forming. And the people bidding on that power, they don't live in your neighborhood. They're Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google. They're signing 15-year contracts with utility companies while your apartment lease runs month to month. That's longer than you can have a president in power. That's multiple regime change power structures that they're putting into place without your vote. Data centers already consume as much electricity as Saudi Arabia, doubling by 2030. The cloud is fighting your local grid for power. Manufacturing, schools, hospitals. When the brownouts come, and they will, your local LLM still runs. The API call, maybe it doesn't. Whoever owns the power owns the intelligence. And right now, they're not asking for permission. They're just signing contracts. Anthropic, June 9th, new models. Claude Fable 5 and Claude Mythos 5. They're the same model, same weights, same architecture, same training, but they are not the same product. Fable 5 is the consumer version. You subscribe, you chat, you get answers. Mythos 5 is the institutional version. Same underlying intelligence, but the safety filters, in Anthropic's own words, are lifted in some areas. Mythos is available through something called a Trusted Access Program. And the partners on that list so far are the US government via Project Glasswing, JPMorgan, Microsoft, AWS, Nvidia, Cisco. One model, two tiers. And here's what happens on your tier. Fable 5 has a safety router. It's a classifier that scans your query before the model answers. If the classifier flags something, about 5% of queries, it silently routes you to a dumber model. You get an answer, it sounds plausible. You have no idea it was the filtered one. You don't know there was a better answer, and you don't know what was withheld. This is not content moderation. Content moderation tells you this was removed. There's a hand you can't see deciding what gets to you. And nobody, not Anthropic, not anyone, can tell you what the unfiltered answer would have been for your specific question. Anthropic is not a chatbot company. They said it themselves. They're positioning Claude as critical infrastructure for knowledge work, the default interface through which people read, write, research, decide, which means the pipe has an opinion. Every pipe with a business model eventually develops one. The Fable Mythos split is that opinion made visible, filtered for you, unfiltered for partners. The pipe doesn't just deliver intelligence, it sorts you. I'm not saying Anthropic is evil. I don't think they are. But I also don't think search engines were evil when they started ranking results. The tilt happens because the architecture makes it profitable, not because someone planned it, because someone built a system where the right answer was worth less than the sponsored one. Scale this across millions of knowledge workers, thousands of decisions a day, the filter is invisible. The gap between what you get and what exists, you can't even measure it. That's the whole point. And the company controlling the gap has JPMorgan, Microsoft, the US government on its institutional partner list. You can't run Mythos 5 locally, not yet, but you can run a model that won't silently downgrade you, won't decide you asked the wrong thing, won't hide what it knows. The trade-off, raw power versus knowing what it actually does. That's not a technical question. That's the whole show. 3 walls, same move. Software, Apple picked Google as your default AI. You got no vote. Then Apple asked the EU for 18 months of exclusive Google Siri before anyone else could compete. The EU said no. The product vanished. 2 powers negotiated. You were never in the room. Hardware. The cloud is running out of power. When the grid gets rationed, the companies that own the data centers decide who gets compute. You're not at the table. Cognition. Anthropic built the most capable reasoning machine on Earth and split it into tiers. Filtered answers for you. Unfiltered access for institutional partners. The pipe has an opinion, and you don't get to know when it's shaping what you see. They're all the same move. Someone at the center decides who gets what, and every time the exit is the same. Run what you can on your own hardware. Audit what you can't. Know what you're renting when you choose to rent. Sovereignty isn't a preference. It's the only response that actually makes sense to a system that tiers your access while selling the master key to the highest bidder. What else can you do? Same question, who does the tool serve? No panic, just signal. I'll see you next week. And if this video clicked with me, please leave a comment. I read every single one. I'll get back to you. There's so much more to talk about here, but I'm trying to reach an audience that maybe doesn't understand more of the data sovereignty argument. And, I don't think we can really actually get away from these tech giants. I think, but I do think we should have more choice. I really think we should have more choice over, using an Anthropic model or a Google model or a DeepSeek model or this model or that model. And ultimately, wouldn't it be great to be able to distill your own models locally, create your own AI agents, not just use one off the shelf? So that's kind of where I want this conversation to go. I want to expand this conversation. I want to, maybe meet some more like-minded people. Anyway, leave a comment. I hope to have some good dialogue with some of you. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next week.